what being a disciple is all about. And I just am worn out. I'm tired of hearing about how self-absorbed our messages have become. God's got a blessing for you. God's going to touch you. God died for you. God set you free. God's got a whole big purpose for you. Well, all that's true, but the problem is you are still in the center. What have you got for God? When he's in the center, I've got my life for you. I got my money for you. I got my house for you. I got my marriage for you. I'm here for him. He's at the center. I'm orbiting him, not him me. And to change that simple, basic factor will rearrange everything in your world. When you get your priorities correct, that God is number one, not you, then everything else falls into place. But until he's number one, and while you're still number one, every plan will be frustrated, every desire. So I'm here, not for me, I'm here for him. And that means I'm here for you, to try and help you navigate this whole thing called the Christian life, the life of a disciple following Jesus. So tonight, this message is pretty basic. And I want to lead you to what Pastor Andrew was talking about before, revival. Revival is a reviving of something that you once had. It means that there once was a fire and it's not there now. You once had a passion, a love, a hunger, but now it's kind of just religious duty. You turn up at church because that's what you do. But the passion, the feeling, I'm hungry for God, you kind of have to get into a trial or a desperate situation before you get desperate again. And sometimes God lets that happen. Like he's knocking on the door of his own church and saying, can you let me in? That's weird. It's his church, but he can't get in until we open the door. So when you're getting knocks, took a knock in my finances. Boom, took a knock in my relationship. Boom, took a knock in my health. Maybe it is God trying to get your attention. So what we do is we go run down to the Pastor Andrew. Oh, can you pray for me? Our house burnt down yesterday. Oh, I don't know what we're going to do. Pastor Andrew says, oh, yeah, I'll pray for you. But you know, I'm telling Pastor Andrew not to pray for you. I'm saying, read this book, and it says, are any among you suffering? Anybody know the next words? Let him pray. So a disciple maker moves gear from pastoring, which is caring for people, and you care for all the people who haven't got that level of motivation to go into this. But I would like to think that we're creating whole churches full of disciples. So Andrew says, will you pray for your house? And I'm going to agree with you. Well, Pastor, what do you think I should do? Well, tell me, what do you think you should do? Rather than saying, well, this is what you should do. Go to the lawyer, go to the insurance company, what do you think you should do? So they start to summon the gifts and the intelligence and the word of knowledge and the power of the Spirit that's on the inside of them. And so not only do we have Jesus at the center of our life, we also now have removed human hands from governing our life so that I am actually connecting with God personally, myself. And now I am not a needy, clingy Christian in church. I am a contributing, stand on my own feet Christian. And I'm a high-producing, low-maintenance believer. Oh, I love those believers. We should have awards for lowest maintenance, highest producer. Brought 23 people, never needed anybody to come and pray for them. Just did the work, quietly, never even needed attention. Oh, golly. Beautiful people. They'll be on the front row of heaven. I'll be up the back with a pair of binoculars trying to see what's going on. But these people, they're awesome. And I know that's what you are. So, to have the passion that God wants in every one of us, which is like a fire, people, and that fire has energy in it. So a lot of people are feeling fatigued. It's because you haven't got that fire burning on the inside anymore. And so I want to talk tonight about getting the fire, the revival, burning again in our lives. 2 Timothy 1:6, therefore I remind you to stir up the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. That means fan into flame. Stir up the gift means fan into flame. The word stir there literally means that. So Paul was saying to Timothy, who was now the pastor of a 60,000 people church in Ephesus, huge city, very rich people, attacking him a lot, and he was the fourth pastor of that church. It started way back with Paul, the apostle. Then there was Apollos, the great preacher. And then there was John, the apostle John, who went to heaven and back and did all sorts of things like that. And now here I come, 30-year-old, 28, 30-year-old Timothy. Hello, everybody. 60,000, very rich people, powerful people, trying to manipulate him. And Paul says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, Timothy, but power, love, and a sound mind. Rebuke those men. Can you imagine this little new guy? After all these great preachers, now he's standing there governing, leading this whole church. And so Paul says, I remind you, stir up that gift. I remind you. I've told you once before, stir up the gift. And then I told you again, stir up the gift. Keep the gift alive. Fan into flame the power of God in your church, in your own self. How do you do that? I'm glad you asked, because that is exactly what I'm going to preach about. How do you do it? Well, let's just think for a minute. What puts the fire out? Okay, if you're baptized in the world, you're going to be a very soggy piece of wood. You don't burn. If you're soaking in TV series, Netflix, day after day, you know, you binge watch this and then you binge watch that, you're just soaking in world stuff. All that swear words, all the blasphemy, all the junk. I mean, I watch TV, I watch movies every now and then, but I flick them off pretty quick too. Chris and I will be sitting there and, you know, it's horrific because we've had to go at 3 movies so far. Blink, blinkety blink, blah, and some naked body runs across you. Blah, yeah, let's get rid of that. Blunk, okay, we'll get rid of that. And then we find one. It's, you know, it's kind of like Little Women or something. She was watching it the other day. I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. So I'd put on the History Channel, what old people do. You know, so it's like if I'm back, that's one way the fire will go out. If I just keep drinking and drowning in the world. So, you know, like people have been nervous to preach this because they're like, oh, legalist. You know, and the idea of worldliness is like an uncool word to use, but it's true. I mean, I was downtown last night in the hotel where I got sent back after the meal, and my God, this city is glam city. I mean, some girls almost had dresses on. It was like, I just went on, you know, I'm out of there. It's like, it is not the Brisbane I used to know. And you go all around the world, there's all kind of weird stuff and crazy stuff. And if you're partying on with all of that, your fire's going to go out real quick. To keep the fire alive, I need the wood to be dry. I need to be in the presence of the Lord. And so Romans 12:1, so dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and a holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. And so if you're complaining and criticizing, the fire's going to go out. Because complaining is like, it's kryptonite to your spirit. You might, it is just the most draining thing. If you want to fatigue yourself, just complain about everything. You know how we've all got that nasal twang? I've preached that here before. I know. You know when you meet people like that? Hi, how are you? They just get that whine. You get it. People get it when they're about 2, but most grow out of it by the age of 35. But some keep it. And they've still got it. Chris and I tried to counsel the wife of a guy, and their marriage is falling apart. And we'd go, hey, like, can you just stop? And we found a better word than whine. I can't remember what it was, but just. And she said, I said, no, can you hear yourself? There's nothing wrong with me. It's him. It's all him. I'm like, my God, complaining is the language of victims. Praise is the language of overcomers. So give thanks. Praise. Be thankful. Be grateful. If she said, yeah, I'm so thankful to God for my husband, it would have changed everything right then. But you had that naggy, whiny voice, and I didn't blame him for going, I'm out of here. He's dying. It's killing everything. Okay, here's another one. If you're distracted and unfocused, overbusy, you know when somebody's talking to you, like the attention span of people today is 9 seconds. Do you know the attention span of a goldfish is 10 seconds? We have got less attention span than goldfish, people. Like a goldfish goes across the bowl, 10 seconds. So, whoa, this is a new place. Yeah, like I can't remember the. But you tell me when somebody's talking to you, how long it is, and they go before their mouth is moving and you're not hearing anything. They told you their name and you can't remember it. And you've gone, oh, and you're off sort of in the clouds somewhere. Oh, hi, yeah, they come back into reality. You get another little focus. You're not present. You're distracted because you've taught yourself distraction in that device. The fire goes out with distraction. You know, it's like the fire isn't focused anywhere. The sun, what is it? It's 5,500 degrees centigrade on the surface. And yet, we down here just walk around, la, 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 la. But if you focus it through a magnifying glass, you'll start a fire. And focus will start the fire again in your life. But a lack of focus, when you're trying to do 50 things, you're trying to spin 20 plates, the fire goes out. It's just too much, too broad. Paul said, this one thing I do. When you are focused and you're saying, I am going to focus my life rather than, and sometimes you're the victim of a Christian conscience. You can't say no. Come and work in the children's work. Yeah, I'd love to. Serving the Lord. Yeah, we need you at the women's conference. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. Can you bake a cake for the school? Yeah. Yeah, what am I going to do with my 3 kids? I want to be at a Christian school, so I'm going to work at night at Woolworths stacking shelves. Yeah, I can do that. I can get them to a Christian school. You're going to die. You can't keep saying yeah. A boundary gives you power. No is your boundary. And don't feel condemned. And if anybody tries to condemn you, say, amen. Say, Pastor Andrew, rebuke this person who's trying to condemn me for not fulfilling some bully in my brain conscience thing. And I won't do not let the devil use your Christianity to manipulate you by being a bully in your brain. Saying you better do this, you better do that, you got to do this. Because the fire will go out. You hate Christianity. Oh, really? One more week of living for Jesus. I'm dead. I'm dying. You need to be doing what you're called to do because that's where the power is. That's where the fire is. Is this helping anybody? I mean, it's strange for a preacher to talk like that, huh? But I'm not your pastor. I'm just a visiting preacher. So he'll straighten you all out next week because he wants people to put their hand up and volunteer. I know. And I do too. But I don't want you to volunteer for everything. At max, I want you to give 3 hours a week for working down the church. Max. That really hurt the pastor, but that's on average over the year. But you see, I like looking after people for the long haul. And that's why we got a lot of people here who I've known for years. Because when they say I'm going on a holiday, we don't go, oh, is that the will of God? We don't do that. That's just using your religion to manipulate people and make them feel, and they'll go on their holiday and they'll hate you. The wife, every time she puts her head on the pillow, sees your sorrowful face, go, oh. They don't even want to come back. But you say, you enjoy it. How long are you going? 4 weeks, you should take 6. They'll be back in 3. Wendy's going on a holiday tomorrow for 6 weeks. Okay. So fire is a sign of God being with you. Passion. The best educators in the world are enthusiastic teachers. An enthusiastic teacher communicates far better than an unenthusiastic teacher. Today, we're going to talk about maths. I'm very excited about maths. Take out your pens. You're not going to teach anything. My best teachers were enthusiastic they loved what they were teaching. I never teach anything I don't love. I don't understand the second coming and all the stuff that goes on about it. You know, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I've studied the book of Revelation. I've done deep studies, but it's just too wild and crazy for me. So I don't preach it because I'm not going to get on fire. I'll get on fire about the second coming. He's coming back. But like all the signs and all the Antichrist and the beheadings and all that stuff, you know, somebody else is an expert. They can do that. I'm an expert on this stuff, so I'll preach that. Stay in your lane. That's where the fire is. It's always a sign of God's fire. God speaks in a fire to Moses out of the bush. He gives them the 10 Commandments in a fire on the mountain, leads them by fire through the wilderness. I tell you, when you are in the will of God, you got energy. People have said that to me for years. I don't feel like I'm doing anything that's very energetic, but I'm just doing me. But they said, wow, how come you got so much energy? I said, because I'm only 30 years old. You laughed. You've changed. You used to be so kind. But the thing is that when you decide you're going to let God remind you of fanning into flame this fire. So I better get down and preach on this message. He says, no, I can't get past some of this stuff because it's so good. You think you need to know a new truth to get excited about Christianity. No, you don't. You need to be reminded of old truths that stir you up. Okay. So 2 Peter 1:12, check this. This is like a Bible study tonight. For this reason, I will not be negligent. This is the job of a pastor. He's negligent if he doesn't do this. I will not be negligent to remind you. It's up here. To remind you always of these things, though you know and are established in them. You know them. I know you know them. But I'm going to remind you about them. So reminding is really important. A pastor is a chief reminding officer in the church. Verse 13, yes, I think it is right as long as I'm in this tent to stir you up by reminding you. 2 remindings. I'm going to stir you up, get the flame going again by reminding you, knowing that surely I must put off my tent. That is, Jesus told me I'm going to die soon. Moreover, I will be careful to ensure that you always have a reminder of these things after I'm dead. So he wrote the book. How good is that? 3 reminders in just a few short verses to keep the fire burning. All right, we're done with that part of the message. We got through the introduction. Now I want, this is in the 4 minutes I got left, I'm going to do a 20-minute sermon. Amen. 1 Kings 18, verse 30. Then Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. So all the people came near to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. The band can come now if you like. He repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. He said, come near to me, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. Okay, so through COVID, a lot of people lost their prayer habit. Some people lost their church habit. A habit is an altar. It's a permanent fixture in your life, in your calendar. It's non-negotiable. It's just built there. It's not a tent you pitch. It's an altar you build. It's permanent. And every morning you pray, it's a permanent altar in your life. It's a fixed event. There's no question about whether you're going to do it or not. You just do it. It's like you have breakfast. It's an altar of breakfast. You have lunch, it's an altar of lunch. You have whatever else are fixed moments. They are altars that you have given your life to. Now, here's the thing. When I was traveling through COVID, the thing I missed the most was worshiping together, because we were worshiping on our beds at home, in our pajamas, eating popcorn. There was no sense of occasion about anything. We were just, and we'd only half worship. It wasn't right. We were really into it. Pastors thought everybody was at home standing in their best, Sunday best and worshiping. There was nothing like that. Not even the pastors were. They were still in their PJs, just, watching church, and they put a little T-shirt on the top, So things got a little wacko in that time. And the other thing I missed was altar calls. You couldn't do it online. And I know that in our church over the years, more business has been done with God on those altar calls than any other thing. So why did Elijah repair the altar? Because when you say, Lord, I want to bring the offering to you in the Old Testament. I'm going to give you Harry the bull. Thank you, Lord. The fire didn't go and blow up Harry the bull. You had to bring Harry the bull down to the altar, because the fire fell on the altar, on the offering on the altar. And so when Paul says, I beseech you, brothers and sisters, that you present your bodies, he's saying, I want you to get on the altar. And there can be things, the fire might have gone out because our offering's gotten off the altar. We might even have the altar there, but our eyes wandered off, They're looking at stuff that they didn't used to look at. Our tongue might have wandered off, like in that beer ad that used to be. And the tongue's kind of crawled off the altar. And it's saying things and speaking things that it shouldn't. Maybe our ears have crawled off the altar. They're listening to stuff. Maybe our hands have crawled off the altar. They're using the keyboard on the computer for stuff they shouldn't be. And to bring them back on the altar, say, I'm putting my life on your altar. I'm dedicating my life. You can anticipate fire, passion, enthusiasm, energy to return. That's where the fire falls. So he repaired the altar. He knew that was how he was going to turn that nation back to God. To repair the altar that got broken down over COVID. To repair those altars where people would come and spend time in the presence of the Lord.